www.pyreneesvineyard.com to schedule a tasting or order our award-winning wines. That's PYRENEES vineyard.com, and don't forget to join us at the river.
PM show nationwide, coast to coast on CRN. I'm Michael Horn. The great Fred Dreyer is here. We'll get to your stories here, some entertainment news coming up in the last segment here of the show. But Fred Dreyer got some interesting viewpoints that we're chatting about. So you're saying, Fred Dreyer, if I'm getting this right, that the country used to be based, it was established by people who were right of center. The people that came to this country were seeking new things, getting things, no taxation without representation. When I pay taxes, I want to be represented. I want a less smaller government. This is what this whole country was based on. And so that basically is kind of right of center thinking. And so then there's a center. I mean, maybe it could drift to center. I'm fine with that. But there's no right anymore. What you're saying is that right of center movement is basically the conservatives are left of center, and if they are there, then the liberal viewpoint of the Democrats are very left of center. So you've got the extreme left position over here, and then you got the left of center. So you're saying both parties. That's why people keep saying, I don't know who to vote for. They both seem like I don't like either one of them.
Well, it makes yes. Forgive me for being repeating myself. George Bush and Karl Rove took the country across the center line socially and domestically.
Who had it on the center line? Did anybody ever have it on the center line?
Well, Ronald Reagan had it right to center.
Why? How did he do that?
Well, by standing up and denying the growth of government and telling people why we were right of center. He loved the country, talked about the country, promoted conservatism, promoted the Constitution. People think that loving the Constitution is a political belief. It's not. It's like saying, why is a Ford a Ford? Well, because it's a Ford. Well, that's not an answer. Well, yes, it is.
It is true.
And so what you have is George Bush and Karl Rove, the great architects. What did he build? I don't know what he built. So he's the architect.
No shopping centers.
He brings the Republican Party. He brings conservatism left of center. It's now the neocons, and it's all of these domestic spenders who now are trying to take away the underpinnings of the Democratic Party and be the benevolent ones who now give all the poor people money.
So the Democrats have to be the Democrats. They got to spend more than the neocons or neoconservatives, and so they spend more.
George Soros comes in, dumps a bunch of money into the Democratic Party, and pushes them even further left. As I said before, the conversation is left of center and extreme left. Now, anybody that comes out politically and says, we got to fix all these problems. The problem in America isn't so much where Obama is taking us, because it's clear where he's taking us. That's not the point. The point is there's no rudder. There's no way to correct it because the people who can correct it are left of center. So what you have to do is drive people back across the center line. That takes a Ronald Reagan type of politician to separate themselves from the body of people running for the nomination right now.
Is there anyone out there?
There's nobody out there.
All right, so you answered my question.
There's nobody
out there running at this time.
There's nobody out there yet. And you hear people start talking about the Constitution a little bit, but in order to do this, you're going to have to go at this black president. You're going to have to go at him, and you're going not personally. That doesn't serve any purpose, and there's really no reason to. God bless him, but he is not right for this country. He should take him and his group and move to France, move to Greece. And try to push further those problems.
Now, what about Clinton? Now, Clinton was a liberal. He was a left of center, but yet under his administration, the government became the balanced budget. It was balanced in there.
Well, he listened. He certainly listened, and he didn't have a war to deal with. But he did listen. He was a good politician. And he said, okay. He didn't have a base that was as radical as the base and the left is now.
He lost the liberal-leaning Congress in the middle of his term, so he kind of had to listen, didn't he?
But he did was, to get reelected, and he did, he brought everything back closer to
So he took it
center.
back. He was a liberal who brought that back to...
He governed correctly because he knew The people of the United States are center right. They're the most loving, benevolent people. We all know who Americans are. But the crux of what's happening now is there is a feckless a group of Republicans, the John McCain calumnious group of licentious reprobates, I call them, who are pathetic in their ability to govern, because no one will follow him. He had 3 or 4 point lead.
You're talking about John McCain.
John McCain going into the debate with Obama, the second debate. Then he goes to Washington. He had the perfect opportunity to separate himself by saying, I'm against the TARP. I'm against the first bailout. Let it collapse. Do not make the American people pay $780 billion, almost $1 trillion, to buy these people out and then give them the money so they can keep themselves in office to perpetuate the problem. Do not do that. Remember what the criticism was. The criticism on McCain was, you're just like George Bush. Well, here was a perfect opportunity to go back there and separate himself and say, I'm not like George Bush. I think George Bush is a mistake. He's part of the problem. This is what we should do. That's leadership, and he would have won the nomination had he would have won the presidency had he separated himself.
Instead, he went back and he said he had to go back in and help the country.
He's a terrible politician, and he misrepresents the Constitution and conservatism, and he's a coward on top of all that.
Was Sarah Palin better?
No.
Simple answer. There you go, right there from the great Fred Dreyer. We'll take a break. Come back, final segment. Things are just rolling by here today. Hey, when we come back, we will mention something happening on American Idol, and I'm going to do your phone calls right now and steer your conversation in the wrong direction. But we do have a couple of things to get in here. Stay with us on the PM show on CRN. Fred Dreyer, Mike Horn.